Arizona, homeowner's best friend.
Now, I don't know if the arborist and the tree specialist would disagree with me on this, but a lot of times when I'm doing a cut on a heavier branch, I'll cut it to leave a stub. That way I can make a precise cut right up against where it needs to be, because that big heavy branch as it's coming down sometimes, can take part of the other branch junction, or it peels bark with it.
Peels it off, and you don't want that to happen, so you're exactly right.
So a big heavier one, cut off the heavy one. Don't worry about how pretty or ugly that is.
Right.
And then work with a smaller piece to make that precise fine cut.
Yeah, and to keep yourself safe out there with got bigger branches, if it's bigger than your wrist, you really want to be paying attention to exactly that. And if it's bigger than your thumb, then you want to start doing what we call undercutting. So you'll do a little bit of an undercut first on the underside of that branch, and then you'll cut from the top. And that'll eliminate the likelihood that it's going to then strip the bark out. It's not going to strip off that part. You're already cutting through that cambium layer, creating that relief cut, essentially, before you cut then from the top again to have that branch fall off. And that's important just to make sure that you're making good cuts. But you're exactly right. Do it a double cut so that you can make that nice, clean, fresh cut all the way closer to the bark, but you don't want to get into the cambium layer. So there'll be this part that almost looks like the collar on a shirt. A little bit of a rise. Yeah, it's kind of like a collar, and that part you don't want to cut through that. You want to be about a ½ inch above that collar where it connects to your main trunk of the tree or another, your other branch. And that, if you're about a ½ inch away from that, then it'll heal faster, because that collar part is where the cambium is that's going to heal over that wound that you're creating by cutting that branch off. And so you don't want to mess with that. If you mess with that, it's going to just leave a scar. It might not even fully heal over, and that becomes problematic.
And the very first time I was trimming trees and had a landscaper come up and say, hey, you know what, something we do is, just go get some kind of paint, clear paint, and put it over the cut marks. That way bugs can't burrow in there. And this was mid to late 90s. Well, that is something that has since kind of phased out of practice, because the thought is, well, if you're watering correctly, the tree's producing enough sap to keep itself healthy and keep those insects out.
Yep, and it'll heal over quick enough.
Rosie on the house, every Arizona homeowner's best friend.